Lately, I find myself asking many times, who is Commander Radix? This channel, at least when I started uploading on this channel, that was in October of 2015. Wow. A lot has happened since then, oh boy. We've been doing YouTube on this channel for 8 years and counting. We're going to reach 9 years by the end of the year. Let me tell you, I am not ready for the Commander Radix channel to reach a decade years old. Nah. I once saw someone on Twitter comment something along the lines of that knowing that I was friends with Orbital Bacon ruined their childhood, which is amazing because I did not realize that I was somebody's childhood. I should not have been your childhood. I am sorry to say that. In my mind, I am still a child. I am not ready to be someone else's childhood. That just ain't happening, Holmes. But in the 8 years of doing YouTube, and being Commander Radix or Primus Prime 22, if any of you are oldies, if any of you are ancient, positively ancient, who know Primus Prime 22, and yet, I really don't know who Commander Radix is. To me, as an artist, and I'm using that in a very generous way, as someone who creates, as someone who puts things together to form something, right? That's like the etymological root of the word art, right? As someone who is an artiste, I think it's very important for someone to have a style, for someone to have a signature, to someone have an aesthetic. But after all these years, I'm still not entirely sure what the Commander Radix aesthetic is. And I think not having a solid aesthetic, not having a solid style, not having a solid purpose, a goal, or a theme at the very least, I think that's been holding me back. That and just being lazy. I should let you guys know beforehand, but while this video is still beginning, that this is kind of just a rambly video. There's no real clear point to it, but just, you know, I used to upload videos like this. Consider this a type of, like, Rad-Fort episode, where I'm just rambling on and on and on. I realize that the last Rad-Fort video was probably 3 years ago, and we don't remember what that is anymore because YouTube audiences change every day. But if you remember the Rad-Fort, this is basically a mini Rad-Fort episode where I'm just rambling like an insane man. We started off as Primus Prime 22, as a wee lad, really into Transformers, really into Transformers lore, really into nerd stuff, really into video games, really into anime, and especially into Transformers. And Primus Prime 22 had a vibe. He had he didn't have an aesthetic, but he had a vibe. He had a Cybertronian aesthetic. All the stream cards were, you know, aesthetic images of Cybertron. The profile picture was Optimus Prime's head. It was a helmet, by the way. A lot of people don't realize that that avatar is a human with an Optimus Prime helmet on. I can understand the confusion, but a lot of fan art at the time showed that it was like some sort of mini robot Optimus. That is not the case. This is a weird thing for me to get finicky on, you know, 8 years after the fact, and I'm no longer Primus Prime 22, or I no longer use that avatar. But very Transformer-y Primus Prime 22, and of course, at some point I realized that this channel was not going to be able to stand as being a 100% Transformers channel. It just couldn't do that. I was holding myself back, and so came the change where we went from Primus Prime 22 to Commander Radix. Radix, Latin word meaning root. I know it can be pronounced Radix or something. I don't really care. I just say Radix. All you math nerds out here with your Radixes, get out of here. No one wants you here. I'm kidding. The whole point of this video is saying I'm going to try to be nicer. Why am I on the attack? But it's very clear that Commander Radix didn't have a full style. I was borrowing ideas from people like General Sam, Digibro. In many ways, I'm still borrowing from Digibro right this second. But Commander Radix was also kind of a character. He took bits and pieces of things like General Sam and Digibro's character and applied it to himself. And those two are very interesting figures. Very angry at the world, I guess you could say, satirical in a way, very offensive, and Commander Radix in those days emulated them. And I thought it was funny then, I think it's still funny now, but the fire just doesn't come out of me like it used to. And then pretty much after the move to Japan, the Commander Radix aesthetic and channel has kind of been floating along, kind of been going up and down, really confused. I think it's very obvious looking at my channel that I'm not really sure what I'm doing. I think I have a general idea for Transformers lore, I have a general idea for history and lore, I have a general idea for other things. I haven't thought them through entirely. And I think it really shows in the aesthetics of those videos and how there's this whole mismatch. Sometimes there's script, sometimes there's no script, sometimes there's a certain musical theme, sometimes it's just random music tracks. It's all weird. This channel is weird, and it's not in a artistic weird way, but in a I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just slapping things together kind of weird way. The past week or so, and especially today, I've been really putting thought into who is Commander Radix? Who am I? What is my role? What am I doing here on YouTube? And is Commander Radix like a character? And if I'm a character, what type of character am I? Am I an academic who's very serious and meticulous with his sourcing and speaks very authoritatively on his subjects? Am I, a super edgy edgelord, whatever, an edgelord who makes offensive jokes all the time? Am I a good Christian laddie who wants to talk about Christian theology? Am I a personality talking to you, the viewer, on the screen? Am I talking to you in a very respectful manner, or am I playing with you in a playful way, in a memey way, sometimes making jokes that autistic members of the audience don't get and think that I'm coming after them? Am I a total idiot who doesn't know what he's doing and is making videos on Yahoo Answers making fun of people, or running into the battlefield head first in a video game without thinking of any strategy? Who is Commander Radix? That's what I want to know. Lately, as I'm trying to think about what I want to do, who I want to be for this channel, I was thinking about things that are important to me, things that I think express how I feel, artistic pieces that I think really express something that is similar to the core of who I am, and I came up with 3 things. Those 3 things being the Ghibli aesthetic, the vibe of the Tolkien universe, and the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. If I had to point to any 3 pieces of media or any genre or any series or whatever to represent me, if you wanted to understand who I am at my core, I would point you to those 3 things. Ghibli movies, or Ghibli I guess it is, Ghibli, it's Ghibli. Tolkien stuff, Tolkien's Legendarium, and the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, or really the Elder Scrolls in general, but especially Skyrim. And I think out of the 3 of them, Skyrim especially, and I think what those pieces of media really get at is it's a deep understanding and love for the past and the values of the past, as well as of nature, while also understanding that we live in the modern day and that there are some things that are good about the modern day, there are some things that are constructive about the modern day, but also the modern day carries a lot of its own negative weight as well. I think that would describe my outlook very well, especially today. I will say Commander Radix as a person has changed significantly from 2015. The biggest change being, of course, my turn to classical sources, my turn to really respecting the past in a way that I hadn't before, and also converting to Orthodox Christianity, one of the most traditional, classical, ancient forms of Christianity there is. I say one of, I'm trying to be respectful, I believe it is the oldest, right? Actually, I started taking notes on things that I thought were Commander Radix and the Commander Radix aesthetic today, so I'm kind of using this to help me. But I did note Ghibli, Tolkien, Skyrim, that they value nature, that they value the old ways, that they value the medieval way of thinking, that they're cautious towards industrialization and moving into the future, and that they're also the old stuck in the new. These pieces of media convey a lot of old ideas within a relatively new, relatively modern and recent form. Ghibli is coming in the form of 2D animation, which is fairly new, and by new I'm talking about, the grand scale of human history. Tolkien is writing in the form of the novel which Victorians said would rot your brain, right? The novel is to us as cell phones are to the Victorians. I got that backwards. The Victorians did not have cell phones. You get the idea. The Victorians thought novels were going to rot your brain because they were too pop, right? And Skyrim is, of course, ancient ruins, all this ancient lore, in the form of a 3D video game. Those are all three modern forms of entertainment and recreation. But the values inside them are fundamentally old. And is that not what Commander Radix is? Radix, again, is a Latin word. First of all, dead language alert, the language of the Roman Empire, the language that is emblematic of antiquity. And the word is root, right? The point was that I was going back to basics, going back to my roots. And I think today, in 2024, I have a better understanding of what my roots are than Commander Radix when he changed his name in 2016 or whatever, 2017 or whatever. And being where the old meets the new, there's a few terms that I think would describe my aesthetic, my vibes that I want to send across. The terms I have written down are things like wistful, which, by the way, was my Spotify 2020 playlist. Wrapped, the New Year's thing term they use to describe my music taste, wistful. Nostalgic, spiritual, awe, wonder, and hope-core. Hope-core. No longer are we black-pilled, folks. We are hope-pilled. And so even though there's this looking back to the past, there's also this understanding that we're taking what was good with the past with us into the future. So it isn't a very negative outlook, I wouldn't say. This isn't, reject modernity, embrace tradition type deal. This is, the world is beautiful. This is still the world made by God, and everything that was beautiful about it in the past can be found here today. We just need to know where to look for it. Which is why the Commander Radix color palette, I think, ultimately needs to be light colored. That light blue, that pastel pink, things like that, because it is ultimately more optimistic. There was the time period where Commander Radix was the neon purple and black aesthetic. I don't think, while I like that color combination, I don't think that aesthetic was the Commander Radix aesthetic. I think I got it right back in Primus Prime 22 with the pink and blue. Also, transgender Commander Radix. Go ahead and make your jokes. I know you're going to do it. Things that I think are emblematic of the Commander Radix aesthetic would be things like the Futura font, or lo-fi music based on I've been listening to a lot of lo-fi Skyrim music lately, but these old things with a new sheen to them. Futura as a font was meant to sort of take the old ways of writing. It's a very traditional writing style put into a modern context. Yes, technically the Nazis did look at Futura as a font that represented their ideology because that it was based on some sort of traditional way of writing that rejected modernity to them, which was the medieval German writing script, which they thought was too much influenced by Hebrew. Yes, I know that. But it's also the font of Skyrim, so. And lo-fi is, very much a old meets new. It's a retro style music, which is, lo-fi, low fidelity. It's a sort of nostalgic atmosphere to it, but also very computeristic, technological. I don't know what the right term is. I'm not a music person, despite the piano behind me that I can't play. But especially listening to lo-fi, there's lo-fi Skyrim music, and that really gets my vibe. There's lo-fi Catholic music, which combines Gregorian chant into lo-fi, which is fantastic. I think that my aesthetic needs to reflect my roots, the traditions I am a part of, and that ultimately is going to come from 2, 3, 4, depending on how you count it, sources. My heritage is Okinawan and Southern. I am part Okinawan, Japanese, part American Southerner. Those cultures are important to me. And they have their roots and their traditions as well. From the Okinawan culture, you can see elements of Japanese and Chinese culture, traditional Chinese culture. And from the southern culture, you can see aspects that come down from their English ancestors, particularly their Celt, Anglo-Saxon, and Norse ancestors. A lot of American Southerners are descent from Northern Englanders, Northern English people who were settled and intermixed with the Scandinavian settlers. And then, of course, you have touches of, like, the Roman Empire in there. You know, I am a product of those traditions, the Anglo-Saxon, Celt, Norse, Roman, Okinawan, Japanese, Chinese civilizations. And I think I need to pay a little bit more homage to them, as it were. In talking about the Commander Radix character, the Commander Radix character especially I have not been satisfied with since 2015, just because that it's inconsistent across videos. You have videos where I'm very serious, very cool, then you have videos where I'm bombastic, jumping off the walls. You have videos where I'm very restrained and very in order and very polite. Then you have videos where I'm calling people the N-word, or where I'm memeing on some people, right? And being an edgy memer doesn't work when other videos are you actually serious and breaking character. Then it makes the edgy meme lord character a little bit more, You know, if you're going to have that sort of character, you better commit to the bit, right? You don't see General Sam all of a sudden being really respectful and serious in his videos. That would be jarring. And because of that, I think the edgelord personality is also jarring at times. This is when the conversion to Christianity comes in, because I did convert to Christianity, and part of becoming a Christian means being a little bit more genuine. You're not allowed to say things that you don't agree with when you become a Christian, right? By knowing and speaking of God, I think I have a responsibility to be more authentic on this channel, which means more of an integration of who I actually am to this channel. And it's weird, there are studies done about how people are more open on the internet, not necessarily in information, but in how they act, and I am certainly more bombastic on the internet than I am in real life. In real life, real talk, guys, I've been diagnosed with social anxiety. I am extremely awkward and quiet and very passive and quiet in real life. That's how I would describe myself. And especially when I'm in a context when I'm dealing with a superior, I am like completely shut up. It's bad. But because this is online, because to me I am alone talking to a telephone connected to a podium, not a podium, a tripod, I can just say whatever I want, which is fun. But I think part of being more authentic is the things that I say need to be reflective of who I am and not just some sort of edgelord. And when I look back at some 2017 Radix videos, 2018, even 2020 Radix videos, I look at that and go, you're trying to be funny, Radix, but this isn't actually who you are, and I think it's time for that to stop. That includes the glasses, Radix, because these sunglasses are representative of the insane Radix archetype which I tried to embody back in the past. Some of you have called this the Commander Chadix glasses, because when I put on this, I turn into the Giga Chad who says yes, or yes, I believe this absolutely insane thing, or dunking on people, right? But I think it's time to put away Commander Chadix. Oh, it's so bright. From now on, I want the Commander Radix personality to be more authentic, to be more me. Of course, there's going to be the sort of internet barrier, right? I am going to be more of myself, especially myself in a casual situation, which might be jarring if anyone who I know in a formal situation or in a personal situation sees my videos, because I don't show casual Radix to those types of people. But you know, how awkward would it be if I made my videos as if I thought all my videos were having the audience of my boss, right? Then it'll be a very different channel, not a good channel, not a successful channel. So this channel is casual. There is a disconnect between me and how I am in real life, just because in real life I am inside of a context, but on a channel there is no context. It's just literally me being casual, ultimately talking to myself. At the end of the day, talking to myself. But the idea is that The Commander Radix character isn't performative. This isn't me putting on a character. Instead, Commander Radix is going to be an expression of myself. It's not going to be myself entirely, because there's obviously going to be a barrier between that, because we're in the context of a YouTube video rather than in real life. But it's going to be an expression of myself. Myself being shown through this context, if that makes sense. I think part of that includes less scripted videos, or at least moving forward, my videos should not be 100% scripted. I think they should be partly scripted in some places, but I actually think it's okay for me to not be scripted. I think it's okay for me to just talk to you one-on-one, or one-on-1,000, or whoever watches this. I think that will help bring a uniformity to my style on this channel. I think that will help me with my own motivation. I think that will help me with my creativity. I think it will help me with my production rate. I think it will go well. I also think it fits this channel and what I'm aiming for better. This channel isn't meant to be something super deep divey. What do I mean by that? This isn't a Transformers channel. We talk about Transformers on this channel, but this isn't meant to be a Transformers channel, you know what I mean? Commander Radix is a guy who talks about Transformers. Commander Radix is not a Transformers channel. Maybe think of it more as the difference between like if we were talking about films, think about the difference between a Red Letter Media person versus one of those channels that just summarizes movies, right? I want to be more Red Letter Media than guy who summarizes movies, except for Transformers, if you know what I mean. Same thing with history. I don't want this to be like a Kings and Generals type channel. I want this to be more of a Metatron channel, where there's a guy interested in history who's done a lot of research and is presenting that research to you and commenting on things. I don't want it to be a Kings and Generals. Frankly, I don't even want it to be a Dova Hattie type channel, even though I love Dova Hattie. When I tell stories from comics or from Transformers, I don't want to be a comic historian channel. I want to be more like a comic pop channel, if you know what I mean. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to be deeply researching topics. It just means that the information that I present to you just won't be in scripted form. And I hope that helps foster a better connection between the audience and the content, and ultimately I hope that you guys like it. I hope you guys enjoy. Now, I'm saying this after I spent 2 weeks researching, writing, editing, and recording a script for a video, so that's kind of annoying. That's 2 weeks down the drain. I can use the research though. But these are just ideas that I'm having. Commander Radix, I want to be a little bit more authentic. I want to have the aesthetic a little bit more pinned down. I want to be able to talk about topics I'm actually passionate in. I think by having unscripted videos, you can tell the difference between when I make a Transformers lore video I actually want to make versus a Transformers lore video that I'm making out of obligation of making a Transformers lore video. Maybe it would help you to know that, instead of Digibro and General Sam being the sort of the Octor, the people that I'm modeling myself after in this channel, or being inspired from this channel, for this channel, I'm actually being more inspired by people like Wendigoon lately. Wendigoon and Metatron. So if you guys like their videos, hopefully this channel is going to shape itself into something you would enjoy. But anyway, that's just a little update of some thoughts going on in my head. I'm always open to hear what you guys have to say, so please leave comments if you have any ideas for me. If there are any types of videos you want to see in the future, please let me know. If there's anything any direction you want to see my channel take, let me know, and I'll consider it, because I'm entering a phase where the Commander Radix channel is sort of being reconstructed into its own. We're really crystallizing and solidifying our aesthetic and the character. After 8 years of doing YouTube, you think I would have done this sooner, but nah. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for sticking with the channel for so long, even through the ups and downs of this channel. I'm working on improving myself, getting better each day, and working on YouTube videos regularly is now something that I'm trying to make habitual. It wasn't habitual before. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe to this channel if you have not yet. Follow me on social media. All the links are in the description. And have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. See ya!
just down the road. See